Jazzcast Pros.
I've reached the point where I'm ready to start pushing those boundaries. I'm ready to start breaking down some barriers. And I wanted to just take a few minutes to share with you my process for this particular trip on breaking down these barriers and boundaries. And not boundaries that you set up for success, but the boundaries that are hindering you from doing the things that you want to do. I want you to take a look at some of your personal boundaries. Are those boundaries set up because you're afraid to step outside of that comfort zone? Welcome to Living the Front Seat Life. I'm your host, Kelly Marie, and I invite you to take this journey with me. We're going to be talking about all things mental health and emotional well-being. You see, I am a overcomer. If you are interested in figuring out the path for you to determine how and where you will drive your future, this is the place to be. We get to determine the ride. We may not get to determine the weather or who's on the road with us or if it's going to be a scenic route or not. But we are the drivers. So join me on this ride, living the front seat life. Welcome to Living the Front Seat Life podcast. It's your host, Kelly Marie. Hey, like, subscribe, share this podcast with someone. I think it's a great podcast. You know, I come back every week. Maybe you think it's a great podcast. You come back every week. I don't know, but I think maybe we should share it with other folks. So feel free to share this podcast with those that you love, those that you care about, and those that are ready to start living a front seat life. So today I am talking about breaking your own boundaries, right? Like, how do you do that? What is it like? What does it feel like to break your own boundaries and not boundaries that you set up for success, but the boundaries that are hindering you from doing the things that you want to do. So I've shared with you guys a couple of trips that I've taken, like my first solo international trip and being in New York by myself. And I find myself in Raleigh, North Carolina for a conference and I'm by myself. Now it's for work. So it's a little bit different because when I'm in work mode, I can function for someone else. It's when I have to function for myself by myself that I kind of run into some problems. But the work part of everything has been cool. No problem whatsoever. Now, there's some downtimes, like after the conference is over, after you've gone to all of the workshops and all of the meetups, there's alone time. And what do you do with that alone time? So usually I will retire to my room, get in the bed, watch some TV, and that's really my day. Like, I don't hang out, I don't go anywhere. I'm not big on making, like conference friends and that kind of stuff. And so I find that I like the solitude, especially after expending all of that energy talking to people and sharing. Like, I'm really an introvert by nature. And so I need that downtime. I need that alone time. But at the same time, I'm missing out on living some new experiences because I'm not giving myself the opportunity to do it. I've set up these boundaries, these rules, these personal laws that I use really to protect myself. And I know that's why they exist. It helps with the anxiety. It helps with being in a city or, different location when I'm by myself. But I've reached the point where I'm ready to start pushing those boundaries. I'm ready to start breaking down some barriers. And I wanted to just take a few minutes to share with you my process for this particular trip on breaking down these barriers and boundaries. So I did all of the, conference stuff, and I needed to figure out what I was going to do with my downtime. And my first reaction was my typical reaction. I go to the room, turn on the TV, start changing channels. Now, the plan was only to see what was on TV, right? I was not going to just watch TV. I made up my mind. I was not going to do that. However, I did want to see what was on TV. So I turned on the television and you get that first channel, which is like all about the hotel and what to do and where to go and that kind of stuff. And I start flipping through the channels, and then the TV just turns into this digital mess. Like there's nothing on the screens. I keep turning the channels, changing stations, nothing's happening. So I don't know what's wrong with the TV. I never called to find out. I just kept it moving. I kind of took that as my sign to don't get comfortable, get up and go and do. So it's dinner time. I needed to find some food. Now, again, I'm good for ordering room service or good for going down to the restaurant that's in the hotel. It's safe. I'm in the place that I'm staying at. I don't really have to worry about, safety or running into people or having to talk to people or anything like that or getting lost. I have a horrible sense of direction. And that's a part of one of my fears is that, I'll go out and start walking around and I'll get lost and not know how to get back. Now, mind you, if I have my phone, I could just GPS my way back. That is not the point. My brain just, it does what it does. And so I wanted to go out and find a restaurant. So I wanted a restaurant that I thought would be delicious. I didn't want to go to like a chain restaurant. Like there's Jimmy John's across the street. There's a fast food Chinese place down the street. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want that to be my experience. And so I pulled up the map and I saw there were a whole bunch of restaurants a couple blocks away. And I'm like, I can do this. I could totally do this. So I set out on my journey. I'm walking, passing some other hotels, feeling good. Now, there's really nobody outside. I saw probably 5 or 6 people. And I'm just walking and walking. And I don't see any of the restaurants. And it looks like I'm going to have to make a turn pretty soon because it doesn't continue to go straight. So I pull out my handy dandy GPS, i.e. my phone, and I look at the map and I notice I'm going in the wrong direction. So I about face and head back in the direction I came, walk past all the other hotels, walk past my hotel, and now I'm at least headed in the right direction to find a restaurant. I love Southern food and I can't make it. So whenever I'm down south, I always want some good Southern food. So I found this place, Beasley's Chicken and Honey. I have no idea if it's a chain restaurant or if it is just a cute little local place, but it was really cute. You walk in and they have these little stools that you sit on at the tables. Their menu is up on this huge chalkboard, and everyone was really warm and friendly and kind. The server explained, ordering and, what their specialties were and all that stuff. So I ended up ordering some catfish and mac and cheese. And then I got a chicken biscuit sandwich to go because I was going to have that for breakfast, which I did. That was amazing. My dinner came out. It was so good, but I noticed that it was getting dark. So I start getting a little worried because I don't want to, be walking around in random streets and it's pitch black outside. And while I'm only probably be about 6 blocks away from the hotel, there's still 6 blocks. And again, we're talking about breaking boundaries and stuff. And there's still some issues that are there. So I wanted to make sure that I got back before it got too late. And I was a little worried that I wouldn't have enough time to do that. I don't want to leave you in suspense. I checked my phone. The sunset was at 7:41. It was like 7:12. So I knew I had enough time to just enjoy my meal. I didn't have to inhale it. I could sit back and just enjoy the meal, which was, listen, it was the bomb. If you are in Raleigh, you have to check out Beasley's Chicken and Honey. I did not get the chicken and waffles. That's, of course, one of their go-to popular selections. I wanted to try something different, and the catfish was just perfect. It was plated, it was cute. It was just I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed my experience. And so I had that moment of anxiety, right? I was going to have them, instead of bringing out the meal, just put it in a box and I was going to walk it back and eat when I got back to the hotel. But I took a breath. I settled myself. I found out what time sunset was. I did some quick math to see if I had enough time to eat and get back without, inhaling my food and looking like I have no home training. And everything was okay. Everything was okay. How about that? And by the time that I got back to the hotel, it was just getting dark. It wasn't, sunset. It doesn't get dark at sunset. We still have some time left. So I was kind of feeling like Cinderella or a gremlin or something. I don't know what was going to happen after dark, but I wanted to. I wanted to. Do you remember the Gremlins? Anyways, I wanted to be sure that even in walking back, that I didn't feel or look rushed, right? I didn't want to look like a tourist. I didn't want to look disheveled and lost and hurried. I wanted to just be able to stroll back to the hotel. And I was able to do that. And so I worked through the anxiety. I worked through, the fear. It wasn't overwhelming fear, but there was a little bit of fear there. And I made it. I had an incredible meal. I ate by myself. I did not sit on my phone playing a game. I actually, enjoyed the surroundings and, took everything in. Oftentimes, if you've ever eaten by yourself, sometimes, it could feel a little weird because it's just you at the table. But one of the things I think is important is learning how to be alone and enjoying your alone time. So this really gave me an opportunity to, one, break down those boundaries, and two, enjoy myself, like enjoy me time, Kelly time. I think I'm great. So why not spend some time with myself since I'm so great, right? I think you're great too. So I encourage you to spend some alone time with you. It really is an incredible experience. You get to kind of confront some anxieties maybe that you have. You get to be alone with your thoughts. You get to practice mindfulness and not have to engage in conversation with people. It really gives you an opportunity to just be. And I really enjoyed being. There were a couple of anxious moments, and that's okay. I worked through them and enjoyed myself. So I encourage you, if even if you don't have, anxiety issues like mine, I encourage you to go out and find a nice place to eat and go by yourself. Like enjoy you time. It may be uncomfortable. You might feel weird. That is all natural and normal. But being able to take yourself out to dinner and to be able to spend some time with you is an incredible way to get in touch with who you are as a person. It's an incredible way to reflect on what's happening in your life and in your day. And you're better able to do that, without the interference of the rest of life, without the interference of friends and loved ones and kids and significant others and whoever else you would typically go out to eat with. So I definitely encourage you to do that if you have not done so. So that is really what I wanted to bring to you this week, this opportunity to be alone, but there's also the opportunity to break down some boundaries. So I want you to take a look at some of your personal boundaries. Are those boundaries set up to keep you safe, or are they set up because you're afraid to step outside of that comfort zone? Two different things, right? We have some boundaries because of self-care, right? We have boundaries because of safety, but at the same time, often many of us have issues, and we create boundaries so that we don't have to really experience life to the full. So I encourage you to take a look at that and begin to chip away at those things. Until the next time, I encourage you to be the light. I have two incredible guests coming, and we're going to do a front seat chronicles with them. I'm going to have two guests on the next show. So it's going to be really, really, really wonderful. Shantina and Purpose will be coming, and we are just going to kick it and have a good time and talk about all of the things that, women talk about when we get together. But with that front seat life focus, I want you to hear their stories and I want you to hear how they overcame. So that is next time on Living the Front Seat Life. I want to ask you to share this podcast, to comment on the podcast, and also to let me know your thoughts. Send me an email at frontseatlife@gmail.com, or you can always find me on Instagram and Facebook at The Front Seat Life. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you want to know about. What can we talk about? What boundaries do you have that you'd like to work through? What types of steps do you want to learn to take in order to reach your goals? What kind of goals do you have that living a front seat life would help you meet? Share all of that with me. I want this space, this time that we spend together, to really be a time of accomplishment. a time of being, and a time of winning. So hit me up. I cannot wait to hear from you. And until the next time, be the light.